With this Unchained Melody guitar lesson, we're going to play a basic fingerstyle arrangement on acoustic guitar. And this arrangement is going to follow the same key and tempo as the most popular version of the song, which was recorded by the Righteous Brothers. And we're going to cover each section with a step-by-step approach. Once you have each section down, you can then practice the complete song along with the Unchained Melody Guitar Karaoke video. Now for this arrangement, we're going to use the same fingerstyle pattern throughout the whole song. So step one will be to get that fingerstyle pattern down, and then we'll focus on the chord changes. So it's going to be basic fingerstyle technique, and what I mean by that is you're going to align and assign your 1, 2, and 3 fingers to the top 3 strings. First finger on the 3rd string, second finger 2nd string, third finger on the 1 string. And then your thumb will pluck the bass note depending on which chord is being played. So with the C chord, C is the bass note, the 5th string. We're going to skip the 4th string, and it's sort of ascending and descending. That's the pattern, and you count it off like so. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We'll do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to apply this pattern 2 measures for each chord. So we're going to play it twice for each chord. So the final step with the fingerstyle pattern is we're going to apply it to a C chord. We're going to play it twice. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the key is to try to let each string or note ring or sustain while you fingerpick each arpeggio. Now the song begins with a verse section, which is an 8-chord progression. And we're going to start with the first 4-chord sequence. And a good start is to just do a 1 strum of that chord sequence, just to get acclimated to the changes. So we're going to go to C to start, then A minor, then F, and we're going to use a 4-string F, and then G. Now if you prefer the full F chord with the 6-string bass, you can do that if you want. Also with G, you have the option to use your 1, 2, and 3 fingers or your 2, 3, and 4. I usually like the 1, 2, and 3, but for this arrangement, with the chord transitions, especially later in the song, I think the pinky, using the pinky, works best. So anyways, let's put together that 4-chord sequence, but this time we'll apply the fingerstyle technique. So we'll do a slow walkthrough. 1, 2, ready, go. The next 4-chord sequence for the verse will be C, A minor, G, G. So for the 3rd measure, we're substituting G for F. And here's how that's going to sound. We'll start with C. And then just think double G. 4 measures. There's the 3rd measure and then the 4th. So with that, now let's put together the 8-chord progression. Again, we'll do a slow walkthrough. So here we go from the top. 1, 2, ready, go. Now this 8-chord progression will repeat as the song progresses, so you could look at this 16-chord progression as either being all of verse 1 or verse 1 and verse 2. But regardless, all you have to do is memorize that 8-chord progression and repeat it, and you've already got a good chunk of the song down. Now the chorus section is another 8-chord progression, and it includes a lot of the chords we've already covered except for 2. We're going to introduce an E minor chord where we'll use the bottom string bass note for fingerstyle, and then also a C7th chord where we play just the middle 4 strings. Now, applying fingerstyle technique to the C7th, I personally tend to stray a little bit from that basic fingerstyle technique. I shift my 1, 2, and 3 fingers down. Now, if you want, you can stick with the standard fingerstyle technique, and that is using your thumb for the 5th and 4th strings. Whatever works for you. It just tends to work better for me to shift the fingers down for the C7th. But let's put together now the complete course. We'll put together the complete 8-chord sequence. We'll do a slow walkthrough applying the fingerstyle technique. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Now the bridge section to Unchained Melody will probably be the most challenging section to learn, especially if you're a guitarist, and that's because there's an E flat chord that needs to be played if you want to match the version by the Righteous Brothers. And on that recording, the Righteous Brothers recording, it's a piano providing the backing chord. So E flat works well for piano, but it doesn't transfer over well to guitar. So what we'll do with this lesson is we're going to do the more official version with E flat for intermediate players, and then we'll also do a beginner's version without the E flat chord. And before we go to those options, let's go over an E flat for everyone to see so you can decide which version you're going to do. E flat, you have 2 options. There's one E flat here at the 6th fret position. I'm not a fan of this particular voicing for this particular arrangement or song. I'm going to go with this E flat chord. And essentially what it is, if you visualize a C chord shape with the bar, this is going to be along the 3rd fret position. Here's an arpeggio. That's the chord shape we're going to use. The reason why I prefer this chord shape over the 6th fret is that it keeps us closer to the original chords that we're playing here at the open fret position, so the transition is easier. Also, a little bit more of a detail, the arpeggio sounds a little bit better, sounds a little closer to the original recording with this arpeggio as opposed to the 6th fret. But anyways, that is the chord shape we're going to use. So in the next couple chapters, we're going to go over the official way with the E flat chord. If you are a beginner and you find this just impossible to play, skip ahead a couple of chapters and we'll go over a beginner's version to play the bridge. The bridge section is another 8-chord progression, and we're going to start with the first 4-chord sequence. We're going to do a 1-strum walkthrough just to get acclimated to the chord shapes, and we're going to start with F, and then we're going to go to G. Now G, we're going to use a different chord voicing. We're going to simply slide the F shape up 1 or 2 frets. So from the 1st fret to the 3rd fret, F, G, then back down to F, and the 4th chord will be the dreaded E flat. And as many of you can see, for a lot of us, that's a tricky chord transition, especially if you want to get clarity out of those strings. Let's do that again, that walkthrough. one strum, F, G, F, E flat. Now the fingerstyle pattern for the bridge section remains the same, except we're only going to play one measure for each chord instead of two like we did for the previous verse and chorus sections. So here's how it's going to sound. We're going to do those first four chords, one measure of each, slow walk through, 1, 2, ready, go. Then after that, the next four chord sequence will be F, G again, and then double C. So let's put together the complete A chord sequence for the bridge section. And we're also going to play this sequence 2 times. We're going to repeat it because that's actually done on the original recording as well. The bridge section is played twice for a total of 16 measures. So here we go from the top, slow walk through, 1, 2, ready, go. Now, if you're a beginner and you find this E flat chord just simply too challenging to play, we do have a plan B. We can use a substitute chord for E flat, and that would be a G chord, the same G we used in the verse and chorus sections. Now, this G will harmonize with the key. In fact, E flat and G, the two chords, share a G note. So there's a little bit of harmonization there. It's not quite as cool as using the E flat, but again, if you're a beginner and you really want to get the song down, this could be a quick fix until you build up your finger strength. So let's go over those first four chords. Again, instead of sliding up to G like we did in the previous clip, we're going to use the open G shape. So that first sequence of F, G, and then F again, and then G again is the beginner's version for the bridge. So let's walk through that. 1, 2, ready, go. Then the second four chord sequence is played exactly the same as we did in the previous clip. That'll be F, G, double C. So now we'll put together those two four chord sequences. We'll play the complete 8 chord sequence, and we're going to repeat it because that is what's done on the original recording. So from the top, again, this is the substitute G chord for beginner's version. 1, 2, ready, go. After the bridge section, we're going to go into the second half of the song, and that's going to begin with another verse section. And with that, we're going to throw in a substitution for the last two measures. Instead of G, we're going to play a G7th. And this goes back to why we wanted to use the pinky earlier, because just before the G7th substitution, there are going to be two measures of G. And then that transition to G7th, if you're using your pinky finger, you just lift the pinky and plant down the first finger. So we'll back it up a little bit to the beginning with the C, C, A minor, G, G7th. Here's how that'll sound. And with that substitution, when the A chord sequence repeats again, you'll do the same substitution. So the only difference with the verse sections between the first half of the song and the second half of the song will be this G7 substitution. On the first half of the song, the chorus section led into the bridge section, and that final chord of the chorus was a C7. That was sort of the leading chord to the bridge section. Well, in the second half of the song, we're going to play the chorus the same except for that final chord. We're going to substitute an A minor for the C7th, and that A minor will lead into the song's ending. So if we back it up a little bit with those last four chords, these will be the last four chords of the chorus in the second half of the song. And then here's the substitution. And that leads into the song's ending, which will be an F to F minor transition. Which is simply a matter of lifting the first finger and then slightly pivoting that bar, the first finger, to cover three strings for F minor. I'll back it up again to F. And then lift and shift, and then a nice C chord strum to end the song. So let's put the song's ending together, starting with the final four chords of the chorus and the ending. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. The final step with this lesson is to put everything together and see if you can play the complete song. And for those of you who are going to be singing while playing guitar, you'll also have an additional challenge of putting together or syncing lyrics with chord changes. And with the Unchained Melody Guitar Karaoke video, you can do both, because on that video it features both lyrics and chords. So you can either sing along with the Unchained Melody Karaoke, play guitar with the Unchained Melody Karaoke, or do both.